And now, let's move on to the exciting conversation between two brilliant creators. The conversation will take place in Basque language and Spanish. If you need the translation device, keep in mind, please. I am pleased to introduce these exceptional artists who have established themselves as leading figures locally and globally in the world of art. Get ready to experience an insightful discussion that will ignite your passion for creativity. Let's start by knowing them better. Aránzazu Calleja es compositora de música.
Aránzazu Calleja is a composer of classical music and has worked in the cinema. She is a violin professor and has a degree in fine arts and went to Berklee College of Music in Boston. Her methodology shows the search for a personal language when it comes to composing music or a story. And she started by approaching the instrument, looking for timbres, colors, textures, and simple and clear melodies, with an obvious predominance of handcraft versus technology. She's currently obsessed by silence. Among her work, we highlight the music to films such as El Hoyo, Cinco Lobitos, or Irati. She also received the Goya Award and the Platina Award for the Best Soundtrack, together with Maite Arrejauregui. She is currently involved in composing the soundtrack for Marco, the latest film by the Moriartys.
Eta gure bigarren artista gonbidatua.
And our second guest artist is Jon Maya Sain, born in Renteria. The second time he was born was when he was 6, when he joined the world of dance, and he worked first in traditional dancing. He's always defined himself as a dancer, but in 2001 he created the Kukai dance company with a very clear goal, bringing together Basque tradition and contemporary creativity. In these 23 years, he has worked on different aspects and approaches related to dance. He's worked with different choreographers, and he's also included different artistic disciplines. He's been to over 30 countries all over the world and displayed his creations. And among his numerous awards, he has received the National Dance Award. He tries to build bridges and encounters between the various disciplines and art forms, and an example of this was the opening ceremony at this forum.
Beraien unibertsoa gertuagotik ezagutzera besterik ez zaigu gelditzen. Zuek guztiokin
All we need to do now is to learn about their universe firsthand. So I give you Aránzazu Calleja and Jon Maya. Good morning. The other day I felt more comfortable with lower lights and dancing. I'm here under the spotlight now, but I'm going to try to feel comfortable, and it's a pleasure to be able to speak Basque, and a pleasure to have met Aránzazu, to share this conversation with her. We're going to talk like friends. This is what we're here for. And a question comes to mind that we often ask ourselves, creatives in our creative processes, or everybody that works in the world of art, whatever we want to call it, what is our place in the world? Well, a lot of things come to mind. I don't know what our place is, but I feel that as artists, we've chosen to live in freedom. And I'm not going to say that this is a privilege because it's somewhat conflictive, but I do think that we're fortunate or brave, or I don't know, the adjectives are delicate, but I think that we're people that have chosen a more free life And as such, I think that we have that responsibility of being very aware and very consistent about everything we have to tell. And I feel like a reference because I work in an activity where women are underrepresented. So I do feel that I can become that reference that I wanted to have and never had. Because when you looked up in the books who you'd like to be like, well, I don't know who you wanted to be like, but I looked for references in the movie world and I saw Morricone and pictures of men, Morricone, Williams, John Barry, and I never saw any women. And now it's like a present. Well, going back to this question, what is our place in the world? I'm an optimistic person. I always see life in a positive way. I try to have a positive gaze about life. And I've always thought that in the areas we work in, it's very important to have people at work because it's a way of coping with life and a way of being a reference, as you said, because there is a very large percentage of society that's used to living in a very specific way. Certain professions with a beginning and an end, a growing specialization. And I think that people like us look at things with a very broad vision. Because in our professions, we're used to being creators, communicators, managers, responsible for human resources. And we also have to do teamwork and collaborate. And we have to embrace those that are different, that are not like us, and create a common discourse. I think we do have this broad view. And what concerns me more and more is that there is a dichotomy. What is art? What is culture? Is it an axis of society, or is it entertainment? And I think that more and more we're focusing on entertainment, and this does worry me, because in the media, in the institutions, this is the general discourse or the general idea, and we're only seen as entertainment. And I think that this is very dangerous, because creation, culture in general, plays a transversal role, or can play a very transversal role in society, education, industry. And there's another component that you mentioned, the fact of being a woman and a reference as a woman. In your creative process, being a woman or the gender perspective, how important is it, or how much of a burden is it as a creator, I mean? Well, I used to say this when I was a bit younger, and now I have a bit more feminist awareness, and I see life from a different perspective. But I do clearly feel that I'm affected by what I've learned from society, from the fact that I'm a woman. And somehow I feel that it's unconscious to a large extent, and in my work I'm not in favor of art having a specific gender or anything like that, but I do like to be aware of what I have, what I am, and the tools I have, but also what society has given me in the context in which I've been allowed to work. But there's something I'd like to ask you, and I think what you said was very interesting about entertaining and whether artists are more part of the world of entertainment or of culture, which seems to have a higher status. But what is the problem with being a part of the world of entertainment? How do you experience this? For me, there isn't a problem. It's also entertainment, of course, but it's not just entertainment. That's true. Yes, but it's important. It's very important. But it's also one of our missions. And the pandemic saved, or many of us were saved through entertainment. As citizens, we need that respite, and art and culture provide that respite, but not just as a tool for consumption. We have to consider that art is a respite, but also something that provokes thinking, that provokes cohesion, and that can be very useful in many areas of society, whether education, research, industry, in the business world. I think that it covers many areas, and that concerns me. And now we're in the middle of an election campaign when we see a candidate that's a computer engineer or a lawyer. That seems to give them credibility. But what if an artist ran for elections? What would happen? What would happen with that candidate? I'm starting to allow myself to feel satisfied with that idea of entertaining. I think it's also very important. It's a matter of how we consume it. Entertainment also defines us as a society or as an individual. What you do in your free time, or what entertainment you need. And also what that entertainment is like. The other day, remember, Aran, we were talking, and you mentioned the concepts of social responsibility, the social responsibility we have in our everyday lives and also in the way we entertain. And when we create, my feeling is that we don't create for the sake of creating. We don't create consumption tools when we create. When we create, we're talking about our view of the world. Our creation is probably our window on the world, so that the world can see us and we can see the world, so that they can see what we're like and what we think. And we also see the world. And a lot of values come into play there. I don't know what you think. How do you feel that you have a greater responsibility because you're an artist? John Mayer, the artist. Where do you put the focus when you feel you have a social responsibility? Well, in general, as a person, there are features that define me. My belief in equality, gender equality, sustainability. There are aspects that define me and that always come up. But my main drive, as Maitane said in the introduction, I was brought up in traditional dance. And it's very obvious to me that we live in a very homogeneous world. But I've tried to work and develop on our tradition. And if we focus on those elements that make us different, this provides very powerful tools for creation, not just for our own creation, but for creation by different people, to establish a discourse between people that are different and create a bridge between people that are very different. I feel very identified with what I do, And on this stage the other day, I danced with a flamenco dancer. And this is an example of what I was saying. And Aran, how do you feel about your responsibility? Well, I've recently had to have more work, and I've become more visible. And since working in the movies makes it difficult to establish a work-life balance, and when you work with the music, you're always involved in post-production, and everything's done in a rush, and you have to go to a festival that just come up, and it's very difficult to put all this into balance with a family life or for caring for others. And this is a role that we women have always played. And men haven't been penalized socially for walking away from caring for others. Yes, I have 3 children, and you're right. I've been able to continue with my career, and women probably find it much more difficult in that sense. Well, yes, that's the case. And one of my responsibilities, I don't think I have a single responsibility, is to put care at the center when I work and look for my well-being. And I need time to care for others, for someone that's sick at home, or to have time off and get some fresh air. But now that I have greater responsibilities and people listen to me more than when I was 20 years old, so now I'm able to ask more of favorable working conditions so I can put care for others at the center. And I think that this is better for society and for artists, because society needs artists. A personal curiosity about the way you work, because we all have our own way of working, and I always find it interesting to know how others work. I think we live in a society where, on the one hand, we promote entrepreneurship, but on the other hand, from the point of view of education, we're in highly specialized silos. And I was talking to some friends from the field of science, and we were discussing how difficult it is to get out of those specialized silos. In the world of art, we necessarily speak different artistic languages, and we collaborate. But how do you relate with other artistic disciplines? How does all that nourish you? How do you feel you can contribute? I look for nourishment for other areas because I also studied fine arts. Yes, I studied music, and I consider myself to be a musician, but I studied fine arts. So I'm moved so much by art in general, and I'm so nourished by it that any discipline contributes a great deal to my creation. And a very interesting thing is that in some discussions with directors, more with men directors, when they've offered me references to get involved in an art process, they've offered me not only musical references, but they've also suggested art exhibitions or books. And this means that I'm nourished by much more than my own discipline. From the matter of music. Yes, I find that too. We're very fond of using labels in society. You're a dancer, and your work is dancing. And often I feel more identified with other artistic genres, or have more empathy for people from other artistic genres, sometimes with musicians, film directors, writers, people from the world of cooking. It may be a generational issue, but I find that generations work around certain trends, and the artistic language is what's least important. And sometimes when I want to create, I go to other sources, exhibitions. And yes, I find it curious, but it's not a coincidence either. And what can we contribute from our world? Because we have a view of the world, and artistic language is a language. And here we can see that we can use different languages. We need to understand our profession or our trade, and I like to use the word trade. And I feel that we also have the responsibility of listening to other forms of expression, not just our own. When I write a musical score for a film, I know the cliches I have to use, or the instruments, or what the scene is asking for. But I think it's an act of responsibility to reflect life. Artists somehow reflect what's happening around us. Yes, to a certain extent. We also think about what the audience is going to say. That's one of our responsibilities. What are we going to talk about? And what approach are we going to use? And how are we going to set the stage? And that will bring a debate, and it will have its consequences. But I think it's necessary. And it's something that I feel highly identified with. The creator and their social responsibility. And also going back to the beginning, what is our place through that social responsibility in our current society, and what should our place be in the society of the future from the various artistic disciplines? I know about you, although I hadn't met you, and I was thinking the other day how interesting for us to be able to have this conversation and to share our concerns. Although we have to do it very quickly, but a question I did want to ask you. And I asked myself, what is my relationship with music? My instrument is the violin. I now write for movies, and I don't always use the violin. But let's say that the element that I almost always start with is the violin, even if I then later put it aside. And I have a special relationship with this instrument, a bit of a love-hate relationship, because we know that music academies are sometimes cruel and hurtful. It provides us with the technique. Yes, it provides us with the tools. So I have this love-hate relationship with my instrument to a certain degree. But your tool is your body, isn't it? Well, yes, I find something similar, but in a different way. I come from traditional dancing. That's where I was trained. And that's how my body moves. Although I've carried out other studies and I've tried to open up my language. 20 years ago, when Kukai was established, that was my goal. And I've always felt that to bring the different worlds together, we have to work with people that were born in those worlds. And I have that desire. But I don't have the contemporary technique written into my body. And that's why often I don't work with my body. I work with the bodies of other people. There are dancers in our group that are much more versatile than I am, and their bodies have many more options. And I'm like an outside spectator that channels things. I'm like a tradesman coordinator. I start with an idea, and I look for a way of reflecting that through the body of other people, but also singers, musicians. I channel things through my intuition. And sometimes I feel that my body is a tool for creation, but other times I feel that it can also be a limitation to everything I have in my head. And that's why I try to get out of my body in the creative process and socialize with others, because I feel that I can make more progress that way. I would like to ask you something that I've often asked myself, and I could change tomorrow because my ideas change from one day to the next. But what would you like to think that helps with your work, with your creative work? And how does the world improve through your work? Why is the world a little bit better because of your work? Well, I think that improving the world is in the hands of all of us, and we have to do it in a modest way, on a small scale, because I think that part of the solution lies in all of us. And that's why I think that through our work, we can show that it's not a problem to be different, that we can be very much from one specific place, but we can be very universal at the same time. Oteiza and Chillida said this a long time ago. And this is something that enriches us all, that we all have people and places to learn from. And I think that we should see all this as an opportunity by sharing our tools. And I'd be satisfied if I attain that goal, to open up to others. And what about you, Aran? What melody would you like to write for the society of the future? What sound would you give to that world you imagine, or that you would like to see? Maitena said it during the introduction, and it's something that's made me think a lot in recent years, the system of silence. I love music, but there's a lot of silence in music. There has to be silence in music. And in order to understand each other and communicate, I think that we also need to know how to listen. And knowing how to listen means stopping and being very sincere. So I would like to give things time and silence. Well, it's a bit abstract. Yes, well, that's our work, isn't it? To provide some matter to the abstract. Yes, a universal sound. And as you said, through our own identities and peculiarities, we should be able to live within that sound. It's been a great pleasure to talk to you, and I hope that the future will bring diversity and silence, and I hope that we will meet again along the way. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Miesker, Aran, Jon.
Thank you very much, Aran. Jon, you're great in your creations and in yourselves because you always work through authenticity and the truth.
Break at last. After the coffee break from 11:30, Global Challenges 2 and 3 will start and finish at 1 o'clock, okay? And at that time, please come back to this room because we are going to hear the final conclusions and we will close this fantastic CWF24. Remember, please, that Global Challenge 2 is programmed in Room 2 Exterior and will led by Joseph Hurtado. You have here, yes, thank you, Joseph Hurtado and the BDCC team. And Global Challenge 3 in a room 0A will be led by Jorge García Balbuena and Sonia Bilbao from Tecnalia. Let's delve into the challenges of business models and digital transitions to discover effective solutions. Let your creativity run wild. Enjoy. Thank you.